Welcome to Wow Wednesday. And let's all remember that this is not an ordinary Wednesday hump day. Oh my goodness, I can't wait for the weekend. I promise you that you will come away from this call, this session together saying, wow. And that's one of the reasons we call it Wow Wednesday is each of our topics and our guests give you tools, motivation, inspiration, and true resources to elevate your life. And today we're going to be talking with Susan Glusica about elevating your financial frequency. So get ready to be wowed by our guest. I'll bring her on officially in just a moment. The other reason that we call it Wow Wednesday is we started this show back in 2009. So I had this little idea. And I thought to myself, there's so many things out there with Monday morning motivation, getting people back in the groove after the weekend. And I thought, what if we did something midweek, a midweek boost? And, we started calling it Wow Wednesday because I believe, and I'm guessing you believe as well, that every day can be a wow day when we choose to look at it from that perspective. So back in 2009, this little idea has blossomed. You all love it. We keep doing it, and we get to be uplifted and wowed just along with you. So thank you for joining us, whether you're here live or on the replay. We're going to go for about 30 minutes with our guest this morning, and then we open up for question and answer. So if you're here with us on the Zoom, you can put your questions in the chat. If you're on your phone, you'll be able to raise your hand. We can unmute you. We want to hear from you as well. And if you're with us on the Facebook, just put your comments in the chat and we will get to your questions. So right before we go ahead and start today's powerful conversation, I will go ahead and introduce you to Susan. Susan Glusica is known as the unrivaled realizer. She humanizes the fastest path to inviting in and receiving more money because she is a stand for, and I love this, unapologetic prosperity. Yes, let's all claim that together. Susan's clients quickly add money to their bank accounts without more bandwidth, working longer and harder, or inconsistent results. After 20 years in the corporate cubicle side of the financial industry, Susan had a crisis of legacy and wanted proximity with her clients. After 8 years on the client-facing side, she realized that the biggest money challenge people face is in being unaware of how to keep, give, and grow more money so that they can give more, be more, do more, and have more. In 2018, she created her signature group coaching program, Money, Realities, and Realizations. And through her discovery of the 7 money realities, she created a powerfully practical method for attracting and realizing more money. So can I get a yes, yes, yes? If you know you're in the right place and you're like, yeah, Susan, bring it on. She is a multi-time international best-selling author, a lifetime member and certified speaker with Women's Prosperity Network, and a diamond member of the Polka Dot Powerhouse. You'll be able to get her 7 prosperity keys when you go to her website, susanglusica.com. She's also got an amazing book. Where's that book that she just released not long ago? The 7 Money Realities, Money Energy Mastery. And Miss Susan, welcome, welcome, welcome. Elevate me, baby.
Thank you. Well, I do want to appreciate WPN first up because my very first collab book was from WPN Connections, Peggy Lee Hansen. Yep. And that was the hardest thing that I had to write, hardest thing. And then once I got that out of the way in 2017, the rest were easy peasy. So, and thank you for writing a review of my solo book. I really, really appreciate the support and the camaraderie that is to be found in WPN.
Awesome. Well, we are grateful to have you. Your book is extraordinary. I have read it, applied some of the practices, and I'm really grateful that you could make time to be with us today to share with our audience. So let's jump in to these 7 money realities, or wherever it is that you think we need to start, because I want to get to, you were in financial services, still are in financial services, and you noticed, I guess, a gap for what was happening with people. Let's start there.
Yeah, so I've been in the financial industry my whole career, had that crisis of legacy, moved over to the client facing side, and 8 years of, introducing people to a different way of planning where we have multiple rates of return. So it's an exponential wealth building approach, right? That's 3 times 3 times 3. What I found is people were stuck in what I lovingly call ego earning, which is 3 plus 3 plus 3. This shows up as exchanging time for money, believing you have to exchange bandwidth or capacity for money. And in terms of growing your plan, it's a summation game, 3 plus 3 plus 3. Mm-hmm. So that was the gap that I discovered. And I had this epiphany reading Sir David Hawkins' Power versus Force, where he has that where he has that map of human consciousness. And the second read through, I kind of hit my head and said, this is how money energy works. And I should know, I've been dealing with money my whole career, right? Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And that book was a huge impact on me. And for those of you who haven't read it, Power versus Force by David Hawkins. And let me tell you, the first time I picked that book up, I couldn't get it. Like it took me some personal evolution in my own thought patterns and consciousness to be able to really comprehend and apply. So I love that you mentioned that book today. I highly encourage it. And now let's talk about these 7 energy levels. Yeah, because it coincides with the scale that he shares.
Right, and they're visually over my left shoulder, but I will describe them because not everybody's on the visual. So if you imagine a tornado going up from the bottom to the top, right, it gets greater and greater. It expands. In money energy terms, it's money consciousness, right? The financial frequency that we're talking about is related to the resonance, right, of each state or level of the 7 money realities. I call them the 7 money realities. So what am I talking about? In the map of consciousness, right, there's certain frequencies, or you can calibrate in the body certain frequencies, right? Like, so when you're in, like, let's use, for example, love, right? Think of being in love. Everything is great. Nothing bothers you, right? You're connected.
You feel enlivened. You feel expansive, like when you're at that energy of love and happiness and hope and, all of that. It feels different, right? Versus
go into like fear, like, right? And that immediately you get the difference of how you're vibrating in the body relating to the state of consciousness you are in. You can choose your state of consciousness also. And the first 2 levels of the 7 money realities are what I call money taking, right? So what are they? They're deficient absence and captive desire. That you don't want to be in those. I've been through them. I know them intimately, had some, the rags to riches story is in my first collab book, right? My Perfect Financial Storms, right? You don't want to be there or stay there for very long. And there is a prescription for getting out into the money giving or money receiving levels that are the other 5.
Now, let me ask this, because when you're in the face of a money challenge, let's say you're looking at your bank account and there's just not enough to cover the rent or the mortgage or salaries to pay. Like, there's all different levels of this as well. And I'm hearing you say you can choose to shift out of it, but I don't know if everybody believes that.
Well, and going back to let's look at love, right?
Right.
So if you're in a long-term relationship, you can, quote unquote, fall out of love, but you can also choose to love your partner, to be love, right? So it is a choice in every conscious moment. That's actually our power, is we have choice. We may not remember or be aware or be connected to that. However, that's the reality. My program is called Money Realities and Realizations for a reason. I encourage and invite everybody to energize truth with a capital T over circumstances. That's the choice piece. So the reality is there's only abundance. Now, you may push back on that and go, well, where's the abundance of the money? Actually, you have an abundance of bills versus an abundance of money, right? But there's always abundance, right? So it's choosing, well, okay, if I have an abundance of bills, but that's the unpreferred state, then what do I choose to energize and connect with, raise my vibrational frequency? And I have 2 pro tips for that.
Beautiful.
Number 1, just like, choosing to be in love, you can write a love letter to money. You may have heard this before, but now you understand the why. Because loving money is the 4th level. 3rd is courageous forgiveness. We must forgive ourselves for our previous mistakes before we can move into loving money. Quantum leaping is not about skipping steps, by the way. It's about going through them more rapidly, right? So the quicker you can forgive yourself, right, the quicker you can move into level 4, which is loving money. And
Let's pause, and if we could, I want to talk about that forgiveness level. What are some of the things that we might want to forgive, that we don't realize are keeping our frequency down? Like, as if we can think about it, if you're wanting to get here, to this high level of financial freedom and abundance and prosperity and wealth and legacy and all of that, the drag on it is things like unforgiveness. So what are some of those things that we may not even recognize are holding us back from having what we want? I'm doing the affirmations. I'm doing all the positive things. I'm in that space, right? Like, there's a lot of right things that we're doing. Yeah. Without recognizing.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Because remember, we have the 3D, right? The physical plane, which is ruled by the ego and the 5 senses, right? It's our reality. It's our circumstantial reality. And we must still take action in that physical plane. So doing the affirmations, right, is one piece of the puzzle, but we want to integrate it with the 3D. What that looks like in terms of forgiveness is truly listing out to yourself, right? What were my mistakes? What brought me to this place? And not that we're to blame for it, but we did have a role in it, right? And then step into ownership of that role and say, okay, I get it. I take responsibility. And now I release myself in forgiveness for having made those choices at that time. And now is a new day. And I'm choosing differently from this day forward. Yeah. So listing out I had to forgive myself for bad decisions in the past. I went through a bankruptcy, right? I mean, this is hard stuff, right? And only when I could really face myself and understand and acknowledge the reasons that I put myself in that position, right? There were a lot of circumstances around it, and they were really challenging to overcome, right? And at the time, the only choice I made, what I felt was the only best choice for myself and my family at that time. Still requires forgiveness, because the outcome was not the most ideal overall. And if I could trace back and have made different decisions, right? Sure. Would I have a different result? Sure. Right? Possibly. Right? Yeah. And we can't go back in time. So the reality of the situation is, here I am in the present, and I can't move forward unless I release my past. Right? That's level 3, courageous forgiveness.
Very good.
Right? And yep. And you really start owning, here's every single dollar I owe. Here's the plan to pay it back. And once you forgive yourself, you have the energy. Now you're no longer driving, looking in the rearview mirror. You're driving forward, looking at the road ahead and making your plan of, where do I want to set my GPS, and following that plan.
That was really good. Because if your GPS is focused on the past, how are you ever going to get where you want to go?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then, so forgiving yourself, you can move into loving money, which is that writing a love letter to money. Because think of it, if money it was your amour, right? And would it be attracted to you, right? Does it know how much you appreciate it, adore it, want to use it for good, right? I like to say good people can do more good with more money, right? So money loves that, loves to be used for good things. Money is not a positive or negative thing. I want to be clear here. It's what it's used for. Okay. So the intention of what you would do with the money, being clear on why you want the money, that's also baked into that loving money piece, right? And this is where you start to enter the abundance, the sustainable long-term abundance world.
Beautiful. And let's clear that that thought that, you know, the love of money is bad and we shouldn't be greedy. And it ties into a lot of what I know. I used to have these preconceived notions that, you know, rich people are greedy and, you know, all that conversation. So you're talking about your appreciation and your love for money and all the good it can do, right? So how do you clear some of that yuck? And I know you have coaching programs and you work with people we're not going to solve all this today. You know that, right? We're going to get you on the path. And some of you, here's something I know. There's someone listening today that just this, wow, bam, breakthrough's about to happen. So open to receiving that because it's possible for you, right? So what kind of ways can we use to clear some of that yuck? Because I can even imagine sitting and starting to write the letter and saying, I love money, and you hear your grandmother in your head. Oh, the love of money, it's the root of all evil.
Right. Exactly. And it's interesting because I do have a mechanism to help people shift beliefs. Not that I'm not a money mindset coach, I'm an abundance and prosperity coach. But before we get to the energy piece of it or your financial frequency, the mind is the gateway to the energy. So we must make sure that your beliefs around money. So here's what I like to say is it's about what we were taught or not taught about money. So you can look at, well, what was I taught by mother, father, whoever my caregivers were? In my husband's case, it wasn't father, it was grandfather, right? Whoever that was, sometimes it's father and uncle, right? Whoever that was, or mother and aunt, right? Or mother and uncle. Whatever that upbringing experience was, and who, you know, really was in the forefront. Some people's family never talked about money. Well, there you go. There's a big insight, right? And they have big resistance on making it all about the money, because I will contend when you make it all about the money, you become a better person. Why? Because money is the effect and service is the cause. So when we want to raise the money that we're receiving and enjoying and doing good with, we get to step into higher and higher levels of service to cause that money. And where it all starts is in the energy. But if your mindset is not the ideal level or open, right, then you can't affect the energy. You have to start at the mindset, which is the beliefs and habits, right?
That was golden right there. That focus on the money, because money allows greater service. It isn't greater service what we all want. And really marrying those two together is a piece that too many people miss, but not our audience. You're getting this. I know you are. All right. So we're moving up this scale, this map of consciousness, and we're at the place of loving money, which aligns with the fourth chakra, which is the heart, right? So that's love, and I love the correlation. Where do we go from there?
Right. So, and they are slightly correlated with the chakras, just not numerically, right? So in terms of, so the loving money is actually the fifth level, and then there's two more above that. And when I say above, it's not above or under or anything, like it's not a better than. It just is the state, right? Think of it as you go up in these levels, you're increasing your frequency, right? It's becoming more rapid, right? So that's all it means. It's either a slower or faster vibrational frequency, right? So moving from 5 to 6, which is joyful completion, this is where things get really cool, right? Because you are now in surplus and overflow consistently, right? Imagine that you can just, step into service and you have surplus and overflow for whatever it is that you want or need or desire, right? I do love working with smart, successful women who desire significantly more money, living soulfully, right? With more ease and joy. And this is the state of consciousness in money energy I'm talking about in level 6.
That sounds so yummy. Surplus and overflow. Yes. I love it. All right. Continue on, my friend. Where else do we go?
Yeah.
That
so
feels really good.
It really does. And it's a great place, right? 4, 5, and 6 are wonderful places in, so there's, I think we skipped 4 is harmonious acceptance, right? So level 4, then 5 is loving money, then 6 is joyful completion, right? Those are really yummy and fun and happy and joy-filled and ease-filled levels of money consciousness, each more so than the next, right? And then ultimately, there is enlightened gratitude is the 7th level. Now, this is peak money consciousness. It shows up as this feeling of like just being one with it all. I have a namaste sign above my head on my wall, right? That I honor, the universe in you, the universe in me honors the universe in you, and we are one, right? That being that in terms of your money energy state. Not many people attain it, and those who do, not many people of those who attain it stay in it, but it's there, right? So why am I bringing this up if it's not so attainable? Because the second pro tip I have for everybody is, and this is the fastest way to elevate your financial frequency, and it's going to sound simple, does not mean it's easy, right? That you want to express gratitude for everything, even the unpreferred, right? I was mentioning energized truth with a capital T over circumstances earlier. Well, this is a way that you can do that. You want to express gratitude. I'll tell you a mini story because everybody remembers it by stories, right? I had an argument with my husband driving down the driveway, kind of a long driveway. By the time I got to the road and was making my left turn to go run my errands, I said, "Oh my goodness, I get to be grateful for this too." I expressed gratitude. I'm so happy and grateful. We argued, right? Kind of cleared the air, right? So you just find something, one little thing to be grateful for, and you vibe the heck out of it, right? With gratitude.
I love that.
Right? You just show up and you can pretend to vibe it, like you faith it till you make it kind of thing. So I just did that. And immediately, here's the thing, my energy and my relationship to that event shifted like immediately. And then I went on my way, and about 2 hours later came back. I was unpacking the car, right? Totally had forgotten about the fight, right? My husband, you'd have to know my husband to know what this means, is he came out of his office, came downstairs and apologized. Now it does take 2 to tango, right? So I had a role to play as well. But the fact of the matter is when I shifted my energy, I didn't even have to be in the same space. I was miles away. He felt the shift energetically as well and responded to that, right? I didn't say anything to him. I didn't, right?
Yeah. And let's take a look at your had an argument. So what does that feel like? I'm upset. I'm hurt. I can't believe he said that, or whatever it happened to be about. Driving down, and by the time you got to because you're practiced, this takes practice. By the time you got to the end of the driveway, you're like, oh yeah, I get to be grateful for this. You turn up your vibration, go about your way 2 hours later. Now imagine for all of us, that drive, being upset, get to the end of the driveway, you pull down the road, somebody cuts in front of you. It's like, what would that 2 hours have been like if you didn't choose to make that shift?
Exactly. And the same is with your money, right? So, because as we do one thing, we do all things, right? Generally speaking. So, I'm seeing some comments about, fear can be paralyzing. Yes, I'm not saying don't feel it, but immediately when you feel it, right, you can express gratitude, because what is fear doing? Fear actually shows up to protect us. So we can actually pivot even in that moment of feeling the fear. And I'm getting chills now. You can actually express gratitude for the fear. Right? It's something that we don't think of how to respond to it, but we can actually show appreciation. I'm in the business of appreciating money, right? Relationships, whatever it is, right? Appreciating, because what I appreciate appreciates. So I appreciate the fear for protecting me. And that actually, because now the fear feels heard, right? Like why it's showing up. It wants your attention. It wants to, get your attention because it wants to protect you. Great. So now you have my attention. Thank you for protecting me. And then you can pivot and choose differently.
Choose differently. That's so good. Let's take a moment, and I want to address Deanna.
Oh, I want to show the graphic again.
That's what you wanted. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, so this has a lot of stuff in it. If you would want your own version of it, I encourage you to get my book. It is in the book, Money, Energy, Mastery, the 7 Money Realities. It has all of the explanation in greater detail than I quickly went through today. And it does have some exercises. And if you are open to it, you are invited to an expansion consult when you're finished with the book.
That's so good. Yeah. So, and you can get the book on your website, because I know you also have a download for us that we can get right away. Is that where we go?
Yes. So I'm going to put it in the chat of where you go for everything. So if you want to sign up for the 7 prosperity keys to bring in more money with ease, you just go to my website, susanglusica.com. I'll also put it in the chat.
Thank you for that.
And then if you want my books and you don't want to find them on Amazon, you can go to also susanglusica.com/my books, and you'll see some options there. If you want to also an author's signed copy, and beautiful. So Sue Bennett was saying the book is an easy read and a wealth of info. Thanks, Sue.
Yes, it is. I agree. And actually, I'm eager to go through it again, because I read it, prior to it coming out. So I'm like, ooh, now I'm going to do it again. And let's talk about that. Some people may think, I've taken courses before, I've read books on wealth and money before, shouldn't I be done by now? So let's talk about that.
Well, I think everything, yeah. And look, I'm a lifetime learner just like you, Nancy, right? Yeah. And I believe that everything can always be improved, right? And when you're ready, like the next step becomes, it appears, it becomes evident, or you notice it, right? You want to pay attention to those signs and signals, because that's your higher self kind of giving you a nudge, like, hey, maybe move over here. Many people, especially in WPN and who have been around, the globe for a while, tell me that some of what I teach, because it is a signature program and it is based in universal and scientific law, right? So those pieces that it's based on, right, are out there. That's not my creation, right? But I leverage them and apply my signature methodology, which is related to let's elevate your financial frequency, right? And then keep it there, right? So what I invite everybody to do is empty your cup, because if you knew it already, you'd have the results that you wanted already, right? That's just simply the reality. It's no judgment. It's simply an observation, right? And I also, if I don't have the results, because new level, new devil, right? Like this is part of the human evolutionary experience.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah. And we're all on a journey, and we're all on our own journey. So you need to, as your own authority, assess and discern what is your next best move for your next, if you want it, money level.
Yeah. And so I love that explanation. And as we anchor back to, focusing on money to do more service and more good. Like, that's what we're here for, to be an expression, to be a contribution to what's happening in the world, on our planet, with the people in our lives, with the causes that we care about. And there's always another level of that we want to contribute to, right? So it's an evolution. And the other thing I'll say is, just like your story about having an argument with your husband, those things are going to happen. Like, problems do not go away. Problems are a part of the journey. And, as human emotional beings, are learning, and I believe also our responsibility is in how we respond in those scenarios. And that's why working with you and working with us and WPN, it's stay in it, stay in the game.
Yep, absolutely. And I also want to encourage everybody to open up to, just because you're, relating to money the way you were taught to relate to money. And usually we don't until we actually take a look at it, like in adulthood, like until we consciously become aware of it and decide, right? We can decide how we want to relate to money going forward, right? Based on that new awareness. But unless we do that, we're just in auto mode, right? So if you want to become conscious about your money relationship, right? If it's time to heal that and get to your next money reality level, it's possible. You may not realize the how, but somebody may have the how. And I'm not the only one out there doing this kind of work. I just have my signature brand of it, right? And we have a lot of resources around money in WPN. So if it's not me, I want to encourage you, use one of our other WPN sisters and get whatever that next step is for yourself. Okay. We're all in service to that same goal. I want to be known for raising the money consciousness of the world, for prosperity for all. It's why I wrote the book. So it's accessible to as many people as possible.
Yeah. That's an abundant mindset. That's what it's all about. Beautiful. All right. So we've got the link. I want to have an opportunity to open up for some questions. So let's make that magic happen. If you have a question and you're on the computer, you can just raise your hand and I can open you up and bring you on. You could also post your question in the chat. You could hit *6 on your phone. There are so many ways for you to be able to join us. So we'd love to hear any comments, questions, or thoughts that you have. So hit *6 on your phone, raise your hand, or post it in the chat. And, it's interesting. Philomena was talking about pizza, and I'd love to know more about that. So Philomena, maybe raise your hand and come on. And then I see someone 201, you've hit *6. Did you have a question or a comment to share? Hi, good morning. Who's this?
Hi, good morning. It's Sandy. I finally got my voice back, and I'm driving. So I'm just wondering if you've been amazing. I love the surplus and overflow. I mean, I've just been repeating that as you've been talking, because that's such a great concept. But I'm driving. Can you post it on the WPN, how to get that book? Because I don't actually have that information, and I'm driving.
We've got you covered. Yeah, so Sandy, if you go to our Facebook group, the replay from this is going to be posted in there, and it'll have the link. So, and reach out to me personally if you can't find it.
Okay, thanks so much. And thank you so much. Your prosperity consciousness is fabulous, and you're right, everyone could have it, and what a fabulous world we would be if everyone did. So thank you very much. How do I mute again?
I'll take care of that for you. You focus on driving.
Thank you, Sandy.
Thank you very much. Okay.
All right, my friend.
You can tell I'm a gift giver. So before we get the next caller, I'm going to pop this in the chat and also say it. If you want a weekly inspirational, money-related inspirational message, I have a complimentary one. You can text REALIZE to 877-787-8693.
Very good. So text 877 787-8693, the word realize, and you'll get a money expansion message. Like, who wouldn't love that every week? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. You are a giver. So good. So good. All right, let's go ahead and take our next caller. 843 area code. Did you want to share? I think that might be Lenny again.
Yes, good morning again. This is Lenny.
Good morning.
I have a question around forgiveness. How do we know if we've really achieved forgiveness? And now I'm talking about forgiving myself the same way that you talked about making mistakes with money. I have done that in abundance. And
me too.
Me too.
yeah, and I do practice forgiveness, but I wonder how we know, because that is such an important part of this whole process. How do we know that we really have forgiven ourselves?
Yeah. So the truth of the matter is, or the reality is, right? We always know. There's a part of us that always knows. So I want to presence and witness that truth of the capital T for you, as well as let's remember we get to choose progress over perfection, right? So if we're like running around worried we didn't get it perfect, we're missing the point, right? It's movement forward, right? So when you choose progress over perfection and you just release the worry about like, oh my goodness, did I do that right? It's good enough to move forward, right? You don't got to get it right. You just got to get it going, is one of my longtime mentors used to say, right? And I want to just emphasize that for you, right? Because what's happening is, if you're overly concerned, like, did I do everything possible to forgive myself? How do I know? Well, actually, right, we get to release that so that it frees up our energy space for what's to come, where we're going, what we want. Permission to dream, please.
Lenny, thank you. Yeah, Lenny, thank you for that question, because and Susan, your response, because getting it right and needing it to be perfect, it is actually, I believe, a trap of the ego to keep your frequency and your vibration low. It's a trap to keep us there. So,
makes sense.
Right. So right now, you can say, I completely forgive myself.
And so it is.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And again, if you notice thoughts coming up, I completely forgive myself. And I am a huge proponent and user of the prayer of forgiveness, the Hawaiian. Do you know Ho'oponopono, Susan?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. So that, you know it too, Lenny. Good. Yeah, that is a huge forgiveness prayer that I use consistently, because the fears, the worries, did I get it right? Is it perfect? All of that is separating me from the truth with a capital T, the way that Susan's talking about it.
And the truth is,
I get that. Yes, I'm going to go back and do that prayer. That is a wonderful prayer.
It is. It's so good. The 4 sentences, for those who are curious, it's Ho'oponopono. And the prayer is, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, and thank you. And I'll be doing a teaching on that shortly to go a little bit deeper. Awesome. Thank you, Lenny, for bringing up that question and the awesome conversation it led to. I appreciate you.
And if I can add one more thought, Lenny, step into the reality that we're all one, meaning you are already whole. There's nothing broken. There's nothing to fix. Step into that when you want to release in forgiveness, right?
Beautiful.
Okay. Great. I will do that. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And everyone listening in, wherever you're joining us from, or if you're watching the replay, the promise of this Wow Wednesday was to elevate your financial frequency. I'm feeling it. How about you? Give us a comment down below in the chat. I am feeling elevated, enlivened, and, you know, operating at those higher levels that Susan described. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Good, good, good. Philomena Day, you can unmute yourself. I see you've got your hand raised, and then we'll go to Deanna after that.
Well, I was just going to explain the pizza reference in my comments.
Thank you.
In that, you know, I grew up in a family pizzeria business, and I had my fill of pizza, but I still eat it. So it's always, and it actually literally fed our family, as well as other families in our community. We had such great fun making pizza as a family, bringing it to festivals as they ordered it. I mean, we just had a delightful time around a little dough and pizza and everything that the family business could provide, especially the entrepreneurial spirit that I culminated from that. So that's the pizza description.
Thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I just need to say, I think pizza is my favorite food.
It's
my husband's. It's my husband's for sure.
Vegetables on it, the grain.
It's good. Throw some protein meat on it. You're good to go. Or if you're a vegetarian, it's all there. It's the perfect meal.
I make a keto version that's awesome.
Yes.
You can totally do the keto. That's good. All right. Thank you, Philomena. I appreciate you greatly for joining us.
Pleasure. I love it.
Thanks for playing, Philomena.
Awesome. All right. Let's go to Deanna. Do you have a question or a comment to share?
Yes, question, maybe a little bit of comment. Thank you. I love that you're so on point with your promotional materials and setting I'm on your website waiting to finish listening. And what the question is, and cycling through, I see the tornado visual. I'm very visual and color oriented. I listened and heard most, I guess the takeaway for me goes from green to blue to purple. You know, so I was wondering in terms of cycling back through, or, you know, I know in chakras, like, you know, it's kind of a spiritual bypass to not do the red, the orange, the yellow. So I was thinking, you know, in terms of cycling back through, would you want to go back down through the spiral, or maybe go from purple to blue to green to yellow to orange to red?
Great
or something
question.
Else entirely? I hope you understand my metaphor and color visual orientation here.
I do. Yeah, and let me clarify the first two levels, right? As you say, the red and the orange are unpreferred states. It's your choice. If you want to be in deficient absence and captive desire, you can choose to be there. It's not a negative or positive. It's their states of being. They just happen to have more abundance of other things than money. Right? More abundance of bills, more. If you want to go there, that's totally your choice. I personally prefer to stay in the higher or the faster frequency realms with my money. It's a more enjoyable, pleasurable state, in my humble opinion, right? And like I said before, they are, you can kind of in your mind correlate them to the chakras, but the chakras are a different energy system than the one I'm talking about in the 7 money realities.
Got it. And I guess, Deanna, what I'm hearing and also wondering, you brought this up for me, is, so let's say I'm in those higher realms of money reality. Is it fair to expect I'll never dip back down again?
That's completely up to you. Because, okay, so this is why I created a mastermind, right? Like about energy, money energy mastery. What are masters? They're experts at repeating the fundamentals. What do humans do?
Good.
What do humans do when things work? We stop doing them.
I know. I lost 30 pounds and started eating tons of pizza. I didn't eat pizza while I was in my reducing mode.
Yeah, I stopped tracking my food, and all of a sudden there's an extra pound or two on the scale.
Exactly.
What happened?
Yeah.
So it is human, right, to backslide. Is it necessary? No.
There you go. That was good.
If I may break in and clarify, my thought is a little bit different, not necessarily spiraling back down into the undesirables, but yet when I notice when I reach a goal and, you know, reach that plateau of swirling in the purple zone, for instance, that at some point there's more. So therefore, where do you go from the perfection to the next perfection, perhaps? And that's kind of was my thinking. Yeah, I mean, of course, you know, might be even in the purple zone, find that you're disgruntled with something. So
okay, so good point. Yes. So now you're in like the advanced stages of the 7 money realities, because in essence, each money reality has the others within it. So in peak money consciousness, there is a deficient absence sub-level in it, right? So you're talking about, I've stepped into peak money consciousness, but I'm not like quote unquote all the way there, right? There's even more to be had, right? So now you're now taking that level and you're expanding it into, oh, let's look at it on the micro level. There are the 7 money realities within each money reality. Does that make sense?
That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you. That makes a lot of sense, that they kind of all carry with you together, just reaching various levels. Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. Thank you for the question.
Yeah, that was really good. Thank you, Deanna. And I'm wondering if these 7 money realities isn't, regardless from what you just said, whatever level you're at, that those 7 levels is actually our human process of expansion and elevation.
Yeah, it correlates very closely. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Good. Let's go ahead and do remember to go to susanglusica.com, and you can get her book there, and you can also get a download. What's in the download that's different from the book?
Oh yeah. So this is practical tips, like immediate tips that you can put in place to immediately, if you choose to, bring in more money with ease, right? What happens in ego earning is we think it's got to be hard. When we step into exponential receiving, which is what I'm inviting everybody to explore and see for themselves, right? We get to have it easy. So these are like rubber hits the road 7 tips for that, so that you can show your ego, oh yeah, this actually, I get to have this easy.
Love it. So get that for sure, and get the book. And then we can also text the phone number. Let me see, I have it here. The phone number is 877-787-8693. And you're going to text the word realize, REALIZE, to that phone number, and then you'll get a weekly money expansion message. Just love all these pieces you've put together for us, Susan. Oh, so good. All right, let me check in and see what other questions we have. If you have a question for Susan, a comment that you'd like to share, go ahead and hit *6 on your phone, or you can raise your hand if you're on the computer. We'd love to hear from you. Let me give everybody permission to be able to do that. So like I said, simply hit *6 on your phone. Let's go ahead and continue on. I'm checking in all the spots here. Peggy Lee Hansen says on Facebook, Susan Glusica is a powerhouse in money mastery. Get her book, get her free offers, book that consultation. She is kind and generous and knowledgeable. She will hold you throughout your process. Isn't that beautiful? Yummy.
Thank you,
yummy,
Peggy
yummy.
Lee. Thank you, Peggy Lee.
Awesome. C. Simone says, I've been saying that pizza is a metaphor for life. What do I want on my pizza? I want joy on my pizza. I want love on my pizza. I want money on my pizza. Simone, that is beautiful. Thank you so much.
One thing I didn't think was going to come up relating to prosperity and abundance was pizza, but here you go.
It's all connected. It's all connected. I love it. All right,
great.
Susan, thank you so much for who you're being, what you're doing, and the transformation and abundance that you're creating in the world by giving us all the opportunity to access it through your teachings, your signature programs. I'm so grateful for you, my friend.
Well, thank you. And let me echo what WPN says, right? You just keep saying yes, yes, yes. So however I can help you say yes, yes, yes to your next money level, like, let's explore that, right?
Let's do it. Let's do it. Beautiful. All right, my friends. Thank you for joining us for this Wow Wednesday. Was it wow? I told you it was going to be wow. Next week, we'll be back with another wow guest. Be sure to go to susanglusica.com, get the download now. Like, what are you waiting for? I love that you say, if you choose to, like, we could live at these unpreferred states. Or we could choose to get the download and go up. We could choose to send a text message real quick and get that money expansion message from Susan. So whatever you do get out there, choose a wow day. Choose to be expansive. And remember, you're the one. You are the one, and we're all one. So Susan, namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a beautiful day. Thank you.